Welcome to the Mr. Futurist podcast. Thanks for tuning in, and now your host, Dave Holt.
Welcome to the first weekly podcast for Mr. Futurist, where I discuss what's going on in emerging science and technology. Scientists have successfully edited the first human embryo in the U.S. using CRISPR. CRISPR is a gene editing technique that can modify any region of the genome of any species with high precision accuracy, modifying a species to have certain characteristics or traits. If you're curious as to what CRISPR is, I've added a link below to an excellent video from Futurist that explains what CRISPR is and what it can be used for, all in 60 seconds. It's worth a minute of your time to check out. While CRISPR can be a breakthrough in science to eliminate diseases and modify a healthier, stronger, and smarter human, it does have a downside. It can also be used to create the ultimate weapon. Imagine an army of millions of genetically modified soldiers, all with superhuman strength, intelligence, and other amazing abilities and attributes. I realize this sounds like a comic book movie, but it looks like this is going to become a reality at some point. Right now in the United States, it is against the law to edit genes of a human embryo and to bring it to full term. But this doesn't mean that other countries such as China can't do it. Since this million-plus army of super soldiers could easily take over the world, and the only way to stop them would be by using weapons that would destroy the world, this is something that the U.S. and the world politicians should be discussing and putting international regulations and controls on. Although, in the media right now and in politics, especially in the U.S., we are hearing nothing about this. Chinese scientists have created the biggest virtual universe using the world's fastest computer. China experts said that China was learning to take full advantage of its raw calculation power, which had outpaced other nations in recent years, and recreating the universe was just the first step. Chinese Academy of Sciences in Beijing said that they simulated the birth and early expansion of the universe using 10 trillion digital particles, doing a quadrillion calculations per second. That actually is mind-boggling. China is continuing to build more powerful supercomputers and will use them alongside China's other large scientific facilities, including the FAST, the world's largest radio telescope. Right now, in 2017, if humanity can create a supercomputer that can simulate the birth and expansion of the universe, then what is possible in 10 or 20 years from now, especially with virtual reality connected to a supercomputer? Could we simulate and create our own universes and worlds to control? To me, this gives more validation to the simulation of reality theory. Researchers have come up with a method that allows measuring the strength of the coherence of superposition in any given quantum state. That's a mouthful, but let me tell you what that means. One of the main principles of quantum physics is a superposition of states. In other words, everything resides simultaneously in different states at the same time. If that's not mind-boggling. Alive and dead at the same time, such as Schrodinger's cat, until someone measures them and the system opts for one of the possibilities. Researchers from the UAB Department of Physics and the Indian Institute of Science, Education and Research propose a new way of measuring the robustness of the quantum coherence of a superimposed state. If we can measure two different states simultaneously at the same time, this is groundbreaking work that will lead us to discovering the multiverse within our own dimension of what we refer to as space and time. This reminds me of the two identical black cats Neo saw in the first Matrix movie. At Google, everyone has imagination, including their developed artificial intelligence, or they may have it soon. Imagine a machine that can think into the future and reason out its actions before taking them, and then make a logical, intelligent, and non-emotionally based decision based upon that data. Now imagine if most people could do that. A link to this article is below. It's fascinating. And last but not least, physicists may prove how quantum entanglement works. Einstein called this spooky action at a distance. Basically, when two particles, no matter how far apart or separated, they still share the same existence because what happens in one particle instantly causes the other particle to react. Einstein didn't like this because it meant that the two particles could share information faster than the speed of light. Quantum entanglement has baffled scientists, and they're at a loss as to how and why particles behave this way. Physicists are getting closer to figuring out how quantum entanglement works. If they do, imagine being able to send a signal to anywhere in the universe or into another universe instantly. This got me thinking about how the past, present, and future are all happening at the same time, and how the particles that come together to create what we call the past, present, and future are all communicating and sharing information simultaneously all of the time. That's something we don't think about because we don't have a perception of it. Well, that's it for this week on Mr. Futurist. Please tune in to next week's podcast. Give this if you liked it. I'll do this every single week as long as I can. And then I have a link down below to all the articles that I referenced. Have a great one.
We appreciate your support for Mr. Futurist and hope you enjoyed our show. Please check out coolkidslikeTocode.com. We're helping single mums and single parents to get the life and technical training they need for the future. We can really use your support, so please visit the website and spread the word. Be sure to tune in for our next Mr. Futurist podcast, coming soon.